I've been telling people for years that they need to implement two-factor authentication wherever possible. Now that you've done that, imagine the havoc that would happen if those security codes were sent to somebody else, enabling them to access your email, social media accounts, and worse, your bank accounts. It's called SIM swapping, porting out, and SIM jacking. Today's guest is Haseeb Awan. Haseeb is the CEO of Efani, America's most secure and private cell phone service. He's an expert in protecting high-profile individual cell phone numbers. Haseeb also co-founded the first Bitcoin ATM company. I'm your host, Chris Parker, and this is the Easy Pray podcast. Haseeb, thank you so much for coming on the Easy Pray podcast today to talk to us about SIM swapping. So can you give me a little background of what SIM swapping is and maybe some other names that it might be called?
Certainly. Thanks, Chris, for having me on the show. First of all, having such an amazing show. I've listened pretty much every podcast that you have, and every time I listen, I learn something because, frankly, even though being in the space for some time now, we hear about intelligent ideas that hackers or criminals are deploying to victimize people. So thanks for putting this show together.
Well,
and
thank you.
About the SIM port, like it's called SIM swap, SIM hack, they're like SIM. It has to be linked with SIM sack, telephone takeover. But yeah, something has to be the SIM port, SIM hack. Whenever the name will come up, it'll basically point you to the right thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so obvious.
So what is SIM swapping?
So it's pretty simple. Basically think about it. You have a telephone number, and tomorrow a criminal takes control of the telephone number. So now the question is, what can he do using your telephone number to make you a victim? And the way he does it is basically purely by taking over control of your social media accounts. That's the first thing, or email accounts, and then literally draining your bank account or your social media or taking control of our data. So within maybe I would say 15 to 20 minutes, he has taken control of your bank. And the way he does this is simple. Goes to your account, a Gmail account or Hotmail or ISP account, and do a password reset, and the reset codes come to your telephone number. And now he has access to your telephone number and email account. He goes into email, he runs a cron job, see what accounts you have in with every, so it will search for Chase Bank, USA Bank, every bank, right? Mm-hmm. They have a list of maybe 1,000 and figure out which account you have login on. Then use a password and bot to go into all those accounts, do a password reset. And guess what? They can authenticate you by a couple of things. Number one, they want to know your date of birth, your name, your telephone number, your email address, and he has access to everything.
Yeah.
So, and then he used that to maliciously transfer money from your account. In some cases, he will steal your data and get into social media account. That's why you hear about all those stories of people saying, hey, it wasn't me on the Twitter who posted those pictures or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what happens.
So starting from the beginning, this whole thing involves someone gaining control over your telephone number. How does this criminal gain control over someone's telephone number? If I've got my phone in my hand, how is someone gaining access to my messages and whatnot?
So easy thing, I said, I think in 2005, Obama signed a bill, or I think porting has been around for a long time, where you can, if you're not satisfied with the current carrier, you can go to a different carrier, because technically the number belongs to you. It's your property, so you can take it anywhere you want. Mm-hmm. But what happened is, although it's a very good facility, criminals are abusing it by using it illegally. And in order to make it convenient for everyone, it was so simple that you just need your account number, your PIN number, and your telephone number. Mm-hmm. So technically, if someone have all of your information, they can just transfer your number. Now the question becomes is how easy it is to get those numbers. So first of all, if I want to search and I want to find out which your telephone number is, I think it may take me half an hour, but I'll find out what your telephone number is. Mm-hmm. Then I need to find out where you live, which is also very easy to find. And then I just need to find out your account number. And that could be done by either bribing someone in the company or going on dark web and paying someone to get the information. A lot of time it's also social engineering, where you can call in a person and you can have crying babies on the back and say, hey, can you please, I'm a spouse of Chris, or I'm a friend of Chris. Hey, I'm Chris and I lost my phone. Can you just help me out? Account number. Oh, I don't remember it, but I have my home address. I have my date of birth. I have other things. and they just trick the person to give them an account number. And once they have the account number, they just it's very easy to bypass the PIN as well.
Yep. And so the SIM card is that little chip that we drop on our phone that identifies,
Correct.
hey, this is my telephone number. This is where you send SMS messages. This is how my phone identifies to the wireless networks, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Correct.
So it's the criminals kind of getting a new SIM card issued to them or what?
Yeah, correct. That's what happens. So they can either, go online, buy a SIM card. Every company ships you a SIM card, so they just order a blank SIM card and then trick someone to transfer the number to them. And think about it, like they may be with carrier A, and they may go to carrier B, and carrier B say, hey, I'm legitimately Chris, and I want to transfer my number over. And they will ask you for multiple information, but actually only 2 or 3 information are important: your telephone number, your zip code, and your account number. You can have PIN too, but that's not mandatory. Literally, the only thing that 3 piece of information required. And they just click on it, transfers. The company just automates that someone wants to leave, because thousands of people leave every day.
Yep.
So they don't go through manual verification, and boom, you're done.
Wow, that sounds scarily simple.
It's actually fairly simple, and frankly, a lot of people who actually are doing this are criminals, but not just criminals. They are probably teenagers, and it doesn't require a sophisticated, methodology to do it. It's just a pure act of crime, and they, sophisticated intellectual level that's required. It's just that you have to call 100 people and see who you can trick.
Yeah, it's just a matter of social engineering. So, for our listeners who haven't heard of the term social engineering before, what does that mean?
Social engineering is simple, I pretend to be someone that I'm not. It could be I can pretend to be either maliciously or just for fun. So sometimes I'll just say, because on the phone I can just call in and I think I'm Chris.
Yeah.
Now the person on the other hand does not have any idea if I'm not Chris or not. Now he may think that you don't sound like Chris, right, because you have a different accent. But frankly, he cannot even say that, because I can probably sue him for discrimination or making fun of me.
Yeah.
So. Or you can even, I don't know if you have done it, but I think I've done maybe once or twice when I called on behalf of my wife and just get the stuff done. Or she does something for me on my behalf too. Now, the easy part is that the worst part is that because your telecom carrier right now is selling that a lot of your information. So if you read the contract that you signed up, that 99.99% people don't read it, It actually says that they are allowed to sell your information. So there are companies who buy that information. I think AT&T was even fined by selling location data. So they will also sell the data if you're traveling in a specific jurisdiction. So imagine you are you're traveling to Tahoe, right?
Yeah.
So they will show you all the ads that are linked to Tahoe. Yeah. And then people can market it to you. And then, so long story short is, telecom companies have written down this agreement that they will sell, monetize, and track your data. So there are companies who proudly advertise that, hey, we buy the data directly from the telecom company. So we buy some data too. So we have a system where we can put in your name, your telephone number will tell you your name and where you live and everything.
Yeah. And honestly, for a lot of people, if someone owns a home, then you probably have access to easily able to obtain social security numbers, home addresses, all sorts of stuff is probably fairly simple to gain. And with a little bit of social engineering, kind of asking some people some questions, you could probably even get more information about the person in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, sure. Making a fake ID in US is probably one of the easiest thing to do in the entire world. Our ID is one of the most simple thing, and people have done it to buy cigarettes or alcohol or something. But literally, you can go on dark web and pay someone $50, and they'll issue a fake ID. So there are people, actually employees on the store. So all the store employees that work, I'll give you those kiosk guys or any store owner, they have potential to go on the internet and create an account and generate an extra income for you. So they may not make money on their day job or working at a kiosk or making a shop, because maybe only $15 an hour, but on internet they can sell your information for even $100, $200. If you're a doctor, your information can be sold for $2,000.
Wow, that's scary. It's fairly inexpensive if someone really wants information about you to get everything they can.
Correct, but that's the compromise that people are making, right? They're okay with that. They signed up for that, and internet have spoiled us. Like internet, I make joke that internet is actually good for us, but at the same time, it has led to sell a lot of our personal information to people, and people say, okay, what's the difference between having? I think privacy still have a taboo. Then if I ask for taboo, people think that I'm doing something wrong. And my simple example is, what if you go to a washroom and someone install a camera there? You're not doing anything wrong, but it's kind of private space. Yeah. It's not about it's just a private space. Similarly, if you're living in your room and someone install a camera, and especially without your permission, how would you feel about it?
Yeah.
But because of this cell phone culture, it has been slowly gone into our minds that it's okay, but it's not okay.
Yeah. There's a really good quote about privacy that basically, I wish I could remember it off the top of my head, but it basically, there's that theory of, well, if I haven't done anything wrong, then why should I, then why do I need privacy? And the reality is that that's not the way it works. You have a right to the privacy, not waiting till it gets compromised.
Yeah. No, certainly. A lot of people just say that, hey, why would someone attack me? And I tell them, or it will never happen to me, or it never happened to me. So some people who said that it never happened to me, I just tell them that, hey, you haven't died yet. It doesn't mean that you will never die.
Yeah.
If you want to hear how people die, I can tell you a lot of people who stayed. So you want to do it once you get shot. And then say, okay, why would someone happen to me? I said the people who got shot today or who got in an accident, they didn't went out to see, okay, Chris, I'm going tonight, I'll get an accident. No, they actually left. And then they get either by chance or by thing, because good people wait, but bad people don't wait.
Yeah.
You may say, hey, let me do it tomorrow. I'll get it when I'll have time. But actually, the people who are criminal, they are actually working 24/7 to destroy you.
Yeah.
And if you can't afford security, definitely you cannot afford a breach.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, there's definitely been a couple of really high profile things that maybe we've heard in the news that we didn't really realize were sin swapping. I know there was the CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, if I remember right, something strange got posted to his Twitter account, and within an hour it disappeared, and everyone's kind of like, well, what happened? I wonder, what went on there? And later on, they revealed that he was actually a victim of a sin swapping attack, where someone was able to obtain his cell phone number and port it out, and were able to authenticate into the Twitter CEO's personal Twitter account.
Yeah, certainly. So I'll give you an example. That's actually true. So with Jack Dorsey, they have teams of maybe 100 of security people who are working on it. They can make a call to AT&T or any major carrier and say, hey, President, get me on the line and fix it. But for average customer, frankly, if I or you get a victim, it will take us 3 hours to get into line to get to a customer service representative.
Yeah.
So average customers are a lot more risk. For Jack Dorsey, even if he lost money, he will find a way to recover it. Or even for reputation, he will find a way to recover it. But it's difficult for an average customer. I'll think about a lawyer. If you're a lawyer and your account got compromised, entire of your data got breached, I don't think so. You will have a very, very hard time establishing their reputation again.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible. People will not trust you. So average customer is actually more at risk because we don't take a lot of precautions. As I said, a doctor's number one target for victim, because think about it. If someone is paying, think about a criminal is paying $2,000 to buy your data.
Mm-hmm.
What does ROI does he require on that? He must need to make more money than $2,000.
Yeah.
And you are ultimately going to pay for it, just a matter of time. And the cases that we see a lot of time is that a lot of people don't talk about it because it's embarrassment. If you are a well-known leader or someone, you don't want to talk to it about because it will destroy your reputation. Hey, I lost my data. So what they end up is paying is they end up keep on paying money. And unfortunately for a lot of people who are vulnerable in our society, mostly they get a victim and they have to keep on paying because some criminal tricked them into something that, hey, I will do something crazy with you.
Yeah. So, it sounds like we're all at risk. What are some of the what are the things that we can do to protect ourselves from becoming a victim of sin swapping? I'm sure we initially talked about making sure that, that our carriers support a PIN code at minimum, and that we actually have set that PIN code. But that's one very small thing that we can do. Are there bigger things that we can do?
100%. So I'll give you an example. So the biggest thing is you have to understand how this cartel works. This is basically a cartel, and the way it operates, it's not like one person is doing it and like making a call from basement. Actually, a very sophisticated attack. So unfortunately, the reason I'm not taking any names, or I'm not like unable to comprehend, be very specific about how it works. But because I don't have a lot of proof, and I certainly don't have the resources to find those big organizations. But the way it works is you went into a bank, ABC Bank. Now you made a bank account, and ABC guy who made a bank account, he saw that Chris showed up with $1 million.
Yeah.
And then he also know that Chris is basically just very easy target for SIM swap because he gave his telephone number to us, and his two-factor is SMS. So now he makes a list. That's his job. He basically makes a list, and he'll sell this information for $200 or $300. Hey, I have a customer. Just pay me $200 and tell you this is the customer, this is the social security number and everything. Now you go ahead with it. Someone will buy that information, and then they will, compile a list of 20, 30 people, and then they will call their buddy in those stores, right? And the job of the buddy is to facilitate by being social engineered. So when they call in or you walk into a store, they will make sure that, I saw this person ID, and he verifies that, this was a legit person ID. And then what he does is he overwrites whatever settings you have. So whatever settings you have, he can overwrite. So easiest way for people is to say that, hey, imagine that, people say I have PIN, as you mentioned, and people have other thing. And I say, okay, what if you walk into a store and you tell them, I'm actually Chris. Can you do this for me? I lost my passport. What will they do?
Yeah.
If they are able to reset their passport for you, they can able to reset their passport for anyone.
Yeah.
And they don't know how Chris looks like. The only thing is they have is a name. With the date of birth, and if someone lives in Florida, so I know how the Florida ID looks like. I just have to put the names in and just go in and pretend that, I'm buying a new phone, be friendly, and just trick them into doing this, because those people are not trained. And they're dealing with all their confidential information. Sometimes, so a lot of times, those people are also part of the cartel. And then they pretend that they were social engineered. So something comes tomorrow, they say, oh my God, I don't know, something went wrong. Worst came worst is they will get fired.
Yeah, they won't go to jail.
Okay. So they will not get to jail because this was not they were fooled. And they will just get a job at a different career, and they will keep on changing places. And because they have multiple employment records, they can just say, okay, I used to work there. And a lot of these stores, they're franchised owned. So they don't even share employment record that this person was employed here and he did something wrong. Now it's part of the different group.
Yeah.
So the way employment laws works and everything. And so it's super complicated but long story short, ultimately a person will just take over SIM card and then he's done. And then you're done. So he exactly knows where your bank account is. And one of the easiest paths is to just go on Zillow or any other website, and you'll find out who's selling their house in one expensive. So if you click on 1,000 expensive neighborhoods in US, you will find maybe 50,000 houses. You can go on white pages and buy the data for 10 cents or something, and it will give you a telephone number of everyone who lives in those houses. Then you just run a record and you run a couple of algorithms and you'll find everything. So now you have 50,000 people to play with. So it's super simple. It's a very easy attack to do.
I know some wireless carriers in the U.S., and I don't know what happens outside the U.S., but we'll just talk about U.S., have what they refer to as port locking. Does that actually help, or is that just easily overridable by a store employee also?
It's also ultimately a person will overwrite it. So for major carrier which are implementing these things so there are two times, right? So one is port out, one is SIM swap. So port out is when you left the carrier, so you're with carrier A and you move to carrier B. That's one option.
Okay.
But SIM swap is when you stay with carrier A, but you actually change your SIM card.
Gotcha.
Which means that you went into a T-Mobile store and you say, okay, I lost my SIM card. Can you issue me a new SIM card? He will just say, okay, look at your ID, Chris. Here's your new SIM card.
Yeah.
So for that, there's no lock. And
Gotcha.
even the store employee actually so yes, they do allow that you don't leave the network, but they don't allow that the SIM cards have to be changed.
Gotcha. So in some sense, the port lock might help keep your number from being taken to a different carrier, but if the person's walking into your carrier store, then the port lock doesn't help at all then.
Correct. That's exactly what happened. Yeah. So within 1 hour or 2 hours, you're done. Like they only need 1 or 2 hours. They don't need more time. Literally, so even the time that you go on, because you will lose signal and you will say, okay, what happened? And you may not be able to get hold of it. Like good luck getting to any customer service within 1 hour.
Yeah, I mean, and for most of us these days, we only have a cell phone. So if we lose our cell signal, it's not like we have a second cell phone sitting right next to us. Let me go on account B and make a phone call. It's like, let me find a friend, go over to a friend's house. Maybe I have to go into my office in order to make a phone call. And by then the criminal's already done his damage.
And a lot of time they attack it when you're most vulnerable. Like think about like having after 9 p.m. When all stores are open. So now they have 12 hours window.
Gotcha. So you've already shut down for the evening. You're not looking at your phone anymore. They've now got all night until the following morning to
correct
to try to get your two-factor authentication codes and whatnot. So is your suggestion that in places where you can have a either a physical two-factor authentication device or use like a Google Authenticator app, that you use that instead of SMS two-factor authentication?
100%. Regardless, even you have your own account, you should always use a app-based or like hardware key. The problem with all those keys is a lot of learning curve. So we did a survey and we asked like almost like 100 plus people about do they use 2FA or not? Does their organization permit it? So we did that. So if you look at a general sample, I'm not talking about like sophisticated tech, I'm a general sample, 95% people will say that they don't use 2FA. Yeah. The other 4.5 or 4.6 will lie. So technically, if you look at it, like, total accounts, I think only 0.01% of the people will use 2FA. So, and then, because it's inconvenient, right? You have to put in password, you have to do things. So a lot of organizations suffer because of that too. So yes, yes, you should use it. But the problem with inconvenience and everything is that people forget it sometimes. Or they just say, and a lot of websites don't even allow you to do that. I think IRS doesn't allow QR code as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know I've definitely, when we were talking about the inconvenience factor, I have family overseas where for whatever reason they don't do much phone number two-factor authentication. It's all hardware tokens. And this person holds up their keychain and it's like, well, this is for my bank. This is for this. And they've got like 14 or 15 tokens on their keychain. We were all looking for the day that we'd never have a key in our pocket. And now there's no physical keys, but it's all 2FA keys.
Yeah. But the thing is also 2FA keys is like, so we think about, so when we talk about Efani, we talk about a wide spectrum of, what can happen. And for average consumer, they don't understand the risks that happen to them. So imagine you're traveling somewhere, you lost your keys. It's not a difficult thing that you really lost your keys, or you went into this pool and you lost, or like, I don't know, keys actually go wrong too. But obviously we deploy a different set, but for average person, it's very, very difficult to take care of every protocol. So we just say, hey, keep it simple, have a password on your phone, and then use a Google Authenticator or Authy or similar apps. Because carrying another keychain is also it's very risky, because we have seen we've came across cases where people will they want to ransom and everything. But like if you even do like a 2FA by app, you're above like maybe 99% of the world.
Yeah. So I guess the first step is everyone should have on their phone accounts should have the PIN code at minimum. And that's barely even good enough. And then have any 2FA enabled on your accounts.
100%,
And then, if you can do it, get the Google Authenticator app, 2FA. The unfortunate thing is not a whole lot of places support.
2FA, Google Authenticator or Authy.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not a lot I'm trying to think of not all banks and, unfortunately, not all those types of entities where you might want that additional security actually support authenticator apps. The tech companies seem to be very good at it.
Yeah. They do, but at the same time, like we talk about, like, man, people are lazy,
Yeah.
and that's the number one reason why Americans get attacked a lot, because we are lazy and we just say we'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But these are minimum things that you do. Like, even we say that because even in Efani, like, frankly, we cannot cater to every customer. We only serve like top 1.2, 1.9, around 1.8% of the world. Because number one, no one or not everyone can afford us.
Yeah.
But also the other part is that we cannot take on more customers. Like, we have to be very selective with the customer we work with. So we recommend that, hey, go to, like, we have set up guides for people to do it. And frankly, we prefer that they use those guides and make our lives easy too.
Yeah.
But rather than coming to us and, like, saying, okay, you know what to do, because 98% people don't even need our product.
Yeah. So for the people who do need your product, can you tell us what your product is and how you differentiate yourself without disclosing the secret sauce?
Oh, sure. I can certainly get into as much detail as possible, right? Because we get victim of these attacks all the time too. So think about cell phone, like think about AT&T or Verizon or any major company you think about, right? So we are operate similar to them. We don't have our own antennas, so we basically depend on the coverage of the biggest network in US, which is the best network in US.
Like an MVNO?
Yeah, we are MVNO,
Okay.
but like I said, a lot of people don't understand MVNO concept.
Yeah.
But think about, like, we have, you get the same coverage, but the only thing is we only focus on two things: privacy and security. So we work with, like, top lawyers, accountant, high net worth individuals, and people who don't want to be sold on the internet.
Yeah.
So you have an option, like our privacy policy says that we don't sell, monitor, or track your data. Your privacy policy says that we track, monitor, and sell your data.
Yeah.
Our policy says that we take responsibility if anything goes wrong. Your privacy policy says that we don't take responsibility for anything.
Yeah.
Your customer offering would be, hey, I'll give you a cell phone. I said, we will not give you a cell phone. We'll give you a peace of mind. Your cell phone may say, hey, bring on more customer, do this, and I'll give you Netflix, Disney, or like those random stuff. We say we don't give any of this. We only focus on two things: privacy and security. If you're looking for those Mickey Mouse stuff or other things, you can go to other companies. So as I said, we have a very small clientage, and our clientage is generally, like, at the top in every portion. People who don't want to be sold on the internet.
Yeah. And people who are looking for that additional level of security. If you're the multi-billion-dollar crypto investor, and probably not even, if you're a crypto investor, because the currency is so untraceable in terms of transactions, you're almost a lot more targeted and a lot harder to get your money back if something happens.
Correct. But I'll tell you one thing. Actually, 90% of customers are non-crypto. So they are average accountant, lawyer, real estate. But think about it, like you run an accounting firm and someone got access to your call logs.
Yeah.
Right. Even the call logs are accessible with employees too. So they also sell those call logs. If you say you hate someone and you say, okay, I want to listen to his call, I want to see what deal he's up to, you can just bribe someone like maybe a few $100 and he'll give you a call log at that person. So that's actually a bigger problem for a lot of accountants, lawyers too. For medical doctors, they are the number one victims of these attacks. So they also come to that major thing. And then you see those signboards that with like, ABC number got hurt, ABC number lawyer, so we serve a lot of those customers because we also have a lot of vanity numbers because those numbers are worth everything. So if you take them away, they lost their number. That's their brand. That's everything they have.
Yeah.
So, and then work with influencers, and because your social media linked to your telephone too. So we just say something like, imagine if your telephone number and email account has been taken away, what is it worth to you?
Yeah.
How much are you willing to spend to it? And the answer is like, yes, I'm willing to spend more than $10 per month to protect it. That's what we say. Okay, we come in. But if you say, no, it doesn't matter, my privacy, then it doesn't matter. Then yes, we say, okay, you're not the right fit for us. Or every customer makes over like $80,000 and live in US.
And that makes sense. Grandma who doesn't have, she doesn't even have an online bank account. She's just used to going down to talking to the teller at the store. Grandma's much less likely to be a victim. And even if they could get a hold of grandma's phone, she's not.
No, actually, that's not correct.
Oh,
but
okay.
She's basically So we are just getting in a contract with the old age facility, and the problem with the old age facility is that those elder people seniors are at a lot of risk because they don't get to talk to anyone. So someone can sweet talk to them. They can call them up and they say, "Hey, how are you?" Build a relationship, and then one day ask for information. Hey, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? And those poor ladies or men have done it. Because they are very receptive, so that's unfortunate. That's why a lot of senior homes do not allow cell phones, because people call not through SIM hacking, but through other ways that they can attack them.
Definitely the elderly are significantly higher risk for other types of scams. I figured that it'd be less likely for SIM swap hacks.
Yeah, less likely for SIM swap, but also the problem is something goes wrong. They can also take your telephone number and call a call center.
Yeah.
So think about it. You maybe if you get a call from your business partner or any other partner, and because of deep fake AI and other stuff, they can replicate or exactly your voice, or they can replicate someone can replicate their voice and call you. Chris, can you transfer me $1,000? Oh yeah, what's up, man? I'm just at a bar. I ran out of my credit card. Can you send me a Bitcoin? Or can you do this for me? Can you do this for me?
Yeah.
And you may be able to do it because voice you can replicate, and you can see that telephone number is popping up.
Yeah, it's earlier today I got a phone call from Wells Fargo anti-fraud department.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a Wells Fargo account, so I immediately know it's fraudulent, but I still wouldn't trust it anyway. But it's so easy to forge caller ID these days. You can never
spoof calling
and never assume that it's a real call.
Yeah. One other feature that we have on our SIM card is whenever someone calls, we can actually verify if it's a spoof call or not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that means do you block them or just notify your clients when those calls?
We notify our clients, we are testing out the feature, but we notify our clients that this potentially. So the thing is, we do not get false positive, but we do get false negative. So which means that if you may be legit, but we are unable to verify your identity, in that case, we'll say this person is fake, which doesn't mean that you're fake, but it may be fake. But for the information that we say this is legit, that's actually legit.
Okay. Yeah. And that's, I'd rather have those falses than the other way around. You'd rather have.
Correct. So we can just say, hey, be extra cautious, just to give you an example.
Yeah.
Because we cannot verify their identity. Like similar to Gmail, if you open an account, sometimes this email may not have originated from the actual address.
Yeah.
So that's the same technology that we are able to play. It's still in test mode, but it works pretty well. Mm-hmm. Another thing is we also reduce the spam calls by 90%. So within 90 days, you will see 90% reduction in spam calls. And the way we employ a couple of ways, but the easiest way is to think we don't sell, monitor, or buy you data. There have been a lot of time where you'll make an account at Wells Fargo and you will wake up and within 2 days you will receive an offer. Hey, we are an accounting firm. I see that you just opened a business account. Can I just sell you? And what they do is they sell your information.
Yeah.
Or you make an account anywhere and you start listening to different, someone is trying to, so they buy the leads too. They're in business of selling data.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So in one final thought for our listeners, the best thing that they can do to prevent SIM swapping, what can they do?
It depends. As I said, if the best thing is obviously I'll be biased that they should switch to Efani, right?
Yep.
But obviously, as I said, we only take a few customers, so they may not. There's a very likelihood that they will not qualify. Mm-hmm. So for the other 98%, I would say simple thing. Whenever you have a cell phone plan, try not to be on a family plan. It actually exposes you to a lot of, not just exposes you, exposes other people in your family too. Mm-hmm. So try to avoid them. I know they're cheap, but frankly, man, there's nothing more than your life and everything. Because if you think about it, there's two numbers which are very important in your life. One is social security number, the other is telephone number.
Yeah.
You have more identity linked to your telephone number than anything else. So now if I meet you, hey, Chris, what's the social security number? You will get what the hell are you? But if I ask you, Chris, can I give you a call? You say, yeah, this is my telephone number. And the moment you give me a telephone number, this is the same number that you gave to your banker too.
Yeah.
So if you connect those dots, right, how vulnerable it makes you. So one thing is obviously, I said, for average consumer who does not qualify, they should just get maybe two telephone numbers. Mm-hmm. One could be a VoIP number, and they use one for all the authentications, or use 3 or 4 numbers for different stuff, mm-hmm. and then don't give out that number to anyone. That's one thing. Have a 2FA on every possible thing. Gmail, like email, Facebook, like any social media, bank account, any possible thing.
Yep.
And so and then keep your software up to date. And don't give your phones to like kids who can play around and download new apps and everything. It happens, right?
Yeah.
My kid wants to. So even though we don't allow him a screen time, but still sometimes he says, give it for half an hour. Say you want to play games or something, and we got a new phone for him so he can play on that. Never ever give your phone to anyone.
Yeah.
And people may get offended, but I don't give out my phone at all. Other than that, be vigilant and have multiple numbers on your cell phone. And then we have wrote a couple of guides on our website too, that how an average consumer should protect themselves. But just having a 2FA and having multiple numbers will protect you from 99% of the attacks.
That is absolutely great advice. Haseeb, thank you so much for coming on the Easy Pray podcast today.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Easy Pray podcast. Notes and a transcript of this episode with Haseeb Awan can be found at easypray.com/22.